You know things are getting serious when the whiteboard comes out. So in today's video, we're going to look at why you may be experiencing anxiety, what the root cause is, and I'm also going to offer a fresh perspective as to why experiencing anxiety can actually be a great thing. Hey, what's up guys, it's Big Dan here from onlybychoice.com, and in today's video we're going to look at why you may be experiencing anxiety, where the root cause is coming from, and I'm also going to offer a fresh perspective as to why experiencing anxiety can actually be a great thing to have. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm going to be willing to bet that you may have experienced some form of anxiety within your life. In fact, you may still be experiencing that feeling today. So whenever I ask someone or a group of people as to what does anxiety mean to them, I'll normally hear a whole range of different answers, which are all very similar. So I'll hear things such as anxiety could be a feeling of worry or nervousness, stress. It's that feeling of unwanted negative thoughts, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of being ridiculed, fear of getting out of bed, to go outdoors or in a social setting. There's a whole lot of fears involved, and this also leads to a whole lot of physical symptoms as well, which could be an increased heart rate. You may find you're sweating excessively. You could have that funny butterfly feeling within your stomach. You may find yourself getting tongue-tied or even forgetting a lot of the things that you're trying to say, experiencing brain fog. And there's a whole lot of other symptoms that you may be experiencing. And so what we're going to do is find out where all this shit starts from, and we're going to break it down, and I'm going to use this whiteboard here to try and illustrate it a bit more clearly so you can visually get an idea as to how this whole process works. So I'd like for you to imagine an event or a situation which may be unknown and unfamiliar to you. So let's use the example of public speaking, one of the biggest fears for a lot of people in this world. So what I want to do is I'm going to draw a timeline on the whiteboard here, and on the left hand side this is going to represent our past. On the opposite end of the spectrum, on the right hand side, this is going to represent our future, and right bang in the middle, this is going to represent where we are in the present moment. Now, if you're confident in your ability to deliver a public speech and to speak in front of others, then chances are that you may have had some form of experience in the past. If not, then you may just have such great confidence in your ability to figure things out as you go. And if that's you, that's really amazing. Well done. But for now, just choose another example which has you feeling a little anxious. But for everyone else right now, this is the example we're going to use, because Big Dan said you. Yes, you watching this video right now behind your cell phone, behind your laptop, behind your TV, Big Dan's asked for you to come out here and to deliver a public speech. Now, what's happened right now? You may have noticed there's 101 different thoughts coming into your mind. You may have noticed your physiology might have shifted, where your heart rate is now suddenly increased. You could find that you're starting to sweat excessively. You could be finding that funny butterfly feeling within your stomach. You could be feeling a little tongue-tied. There could be a whole lot of other physiological responses you're experiencing right now. Why? Well, this is what we're going to go through now. In this very moment, nothing has actually changed. You haven't actually come out here and delivered a speech. You're still within the present moment. What's happened is our brain is trying to decipher, is this task of speaking in front of others going to be painful or pleasurable? And so in this moment, we're feeling a whole lot of uncertainty, a whole lot of unknown. So what's happening is our brain's going into the past, and it's checking for any useful information, any resources, experience, any history that you may have had in the past of delivering a speech in public. If it doesn't find any useful information to help complete the task right now, it's now going to shift into the future to see if it can find any information there. Now, how do we shift into the future to get that information? By asking questions. Depending on the type of questions you're asking is going to determine what type of answers and feedback you're going to get back in the present moment. So if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling nervous, worried or stressed, chances are that you're asking yourself a very lazy question. You could be asking yourself, why me? What did I do to deserve this? I don't even have a great speaking voice. There's so many things could go wrong. Oh gosh, how many things could go wrong? And so our brain is sitting there listening to all these questions which are happening in a matter of milliseconds or seconds, and it's now going to give you an answer. So if you're asking yourself questions, why me, going into the future, your brain's going to bring back information. Well, because Big Dan asked you to. Well, what did I do to deserve this? Well, your brain's going to give you 100 different answers. They may not be answers you want to hear, but that's the type of question you ask, so that's the answers you're going to get. Now, it's important to note that even though you're asking yourself all these questions, you still don't have 100% certainty as to that's how the event's going to play out. Because all we really want in this specific moment is to feel 100% certain that we could avoid pain while seeking pleasure. But because we're only predicting what could potentially happen in the future, we don't have 100% certainty. And so all of this information is being processed so damn fast that you may not even be consciously aware that it's even happening. It could all be happening at a subconscious level. And so if you imagine yourself going through this routine of asking disempowering questions, receiving the information back, and feeling all of those emotions of anxiety, feeling nervous and stressed and scared and fearful, imagine living in that state for so long. It's going to take a toll on your body, on your mindset, on your soul. And this is where you start to experience deeper, lower levels of consciousness, where you're experiencing panic attacks. You're feeling a lot more sad and depressed. It can even go as far as to getting to suicidal thoughts, all because of a routine pattern which could have been established from many, many years ago in your past of certain situations or belief systems that were put in place, and because you have faced many situations of uncertainty, you may have got conditioned into asking yourself so many disempowering questions that you're not even aware of. So by bringing our attention back into the present moment and becoming a lot more conscious of the type of questions we could be asking ourselves, we can really create a difference in that cycle. Now imagine you're using Google and you're typing in the search box, why am I not good looking? Google doesn't care what type of questions or text you put in there. It's just designed to help give you answers, to give you feedback, to give you that information. So by typing in, why am I not good looking? Google's going to give you over 100,000 answers in seconds as to why you're not good looking. The same thing is for our brain. It operates the same way. If you ask a disempowering question, your brain's going to give you a disempowering answer or an answer that you may not want to hear. So by asking the question or even typing into Google, why am I so good looking? Google or your brain is going to say, hey, you're good looking because of this, and the list can go on. So when we can become a lot more conscious of the type of questions that we're asking ourselves, we can really interrupt the old patterns of experiencing disempowering emotions. So when we can start to ask more empowering questions, Google and our brain is going to provide more empowering answers, which is going to lead to us experiencing more empowering emotions in the present moment. Now, it's important to realize that even though we're asking ourselves more empowering questions and receiving more empowering answers, we still don't have 100% certainty of whether or not that public speech is going to go well in the future. But if you ask me, if I had a choice of living in the present moment, feeling disempowered or empowered, I'd rather feel empowered, feeling more of those emotions such as happiness, love, joy, excitement, because I'm not going to allow a future event rob me of experiencing more empowering emotions in the present moment. There are many other things I could do to create certainty in order to have a successful speech, a public speech in the future, but I'm not going to go into this video because that's a whole nother video on its own. I just wanted to shine some light in terms of how this cycle works within our mind when creating certainty to avoid pain and seek pleasure, and experiencing the type of emotions we want to experience in the present moment. Magic trick. Now the board's all clean. So I also said that I was going to share with you as to why I believed experiencing anxiety can actually be a great thing. In fact, experiencing any disempowering emotion is a wonderful thing to have, and I'm going to tell you now. William Shakespeare once said, "Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Now imagine that you're driving in your car and suddenly the fuel light appears on your dashboard. So let's imagine that this picture is going to represent our fuel gauge. At the top we have F for full tank of gas. And down the bottom where this arrow is pointing towards, we have E for enough. Or in other words, we have E for empty. Now let's imagine that this red light, this red coloured pen is representing the warning light to let you know that you're almost running on E. Now, I want to know, is the fuel light appearing on your car a good or a bad thing? Now you may be thinking, well Dan, it depends on the context. It depends on how far away the closest gas station may be and whether or not you have sufficient funds to pay for more gas so that you can get a full tank or at least get as far away from empty as possible. Now, if it wasn't for that fuel light appearing on your dashboard, even if you had a petrol station within range or you had the sufficient funds to pay for more gas, you still could have found yourself in a position you may not have necessarily wanted to be in. And it's the same thing for our bodies as well. Whenever we're experiencing an emotion like anxiety or any other disempowering emotion, that's just a warning sign from our body to say, hey, something's not right here, we need your attention. Because if we don't do something about it now, just like a vehicle driving, if we continue to ignore that warning sign, we may be lucky and get an extra 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or an hour if you're really lucky. But eventually, if you continue to ignore that warning sign, you're going to find yourself breaking down and having to pull over on the side of the road. Now, the same thing is true for our bodies as well, because if we keep ignoring the warning signs from our bodies, we may be able to go a few more days, weeks, months, or even years. But eventually we're going to break down and not be able to continue on our journey. We're going to eventually do ourselves some real harm, either emotionally, mentally, or even physically. Now, the other point I wanted to make is that when you see the fuel light appearing on your dashboard, that is not the first sign to let you know that your car needs your attention. Because when you have a full tank of gas, what happens is that the arrow points towards F, representing full. And as you drive on the roads and continue along your journey, what happens is that that needle is going to start ticking its way down, 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 until you eventually get to empty, unless we can fuel up before we reach empty or before the fuel light appears on the dashboard. Because like I mentioned earlier, if we continue to ignore the warning signs from our body whenever we're feeling stressed or anxious or worried or upset, we can only deal with those emotions for so long before they progressively transition into more disempowering emotions, such as addictions or depression, or even lead to as far as suicidal thoughts. So if you find yourself in this position where you need help, please reach out to myself or to another health professional or to anybody in general. Just reach out and talk to somebody. There is no shame in asking for help, so please just reach out to somebody, anybody. What I basically specialize in is helping you to detach from disempowering programs or belief systems that no longer serve you, so that you can realign with your higher self and experience more empowering emotions such as happiness, love, joy, and just be yourself again, so that we can help fill your tank up to full, so that you can go ahead your life's journey in whatever direction that may take you. So guys, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and show some love down below. If you have any questions or comments or even ideas into any future videos that you'd like for me to cover, go ahead and leave a comment down below. And as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, only by choice.